So we had our second algo band, our trend was up. We penetrated the bottom of the band, and then what we're looking for is a close back into the algo band. And the key is you just don't want to take any close. You need to limit your exposure on what the stop is. The stop generally is going to be the swing that you just came from, which in this case was right here. You saw the rule of thumb that we talked about today, and that is use one of the bands as your guiding post, okay? If that stop is going to be greater than the band, you want to pass on the trade, because I always like to approach trades from a risk standpoint. I want to know what my risk is, and then I'll deal with the reward. Generally, you'll get good risk to reward ratios with the algo bands, but you've got to keep a control on that. So this was a good trade through here, at least for a scalp. As we came back down again, notice we did penetrate the mid band, and therefore, to me, this risk is too big. It's too big of a risk. Pass on the trade. As we came back through here again, we penetrated the band, closed up right here. Of course, that's a very tight stop. That's a good entry. That's the type of trade you're looking at. This was a very good reward to risk trade as we moved up here from around the 1940 level all the way up to 1949, give or take a tick or two. Okay, that's a nice move in the E-mini with very little risk. Right, keeping in mind we're still looking at 15 minutes more, okay, because we had the report. Again, we came back down to the band and closed up for an entry. Okay, now this one becomes problematic if you're not still in the trade. In other words, if you've gotten a trade, you've gotten a scalp, it's come back in, you're looking to take the trade again. All right, you're going to get long here. If you didn't get out on a scalp, your stop is going to be right under here, and you got taken out. Okay, notice we came back down and we did penetrate the band. So therefore, what that's telling me is on this particular algo band, if we're still using it, I don't like this trade because the risk is too big. However, we came back down through it again and then closed up. Now we have a much smaller risk. Okay, now the stop is under here. That's the entry, and off it goes. Okay, that's the entry, and off it goes. And again, another nice trade. Your entry right around the 1945-50 level. You know, this market moved all the way up to 1955, and that's roughly 40 ticks in the E-mini in a relatively short period of time. All right. Now keep in mind then, on the fly, I like to change to 30 minutes then after that. Okay, and I can't replicate that. I have to go ahead and redo this to show it on the chart. But I'm going to go ahead and do that now, because now we want to move to a little longer time frame as far as the algo bands are concerned. So we've moved to a little longer time frame now. All right, and this is what you'd be showing. So right around 7:30, we had another band. Okay, now this one's important because if you recognize what this is a extreme algo band. Okay, this band formed at the extreme range. And not only did it form at the top of the dynamic trend, but it also had a session high here as well. Okay, so theoretically, if you want to trade that way, and I think they're good trades, you can go both sides. You can go short on a close below the band or long. In this case, if you took the short below the band, the same principle applies on protecting your short and covering your short as it does to long entries. So in other words, the short entries here, what you're looking for, if this market continued to move down, you're okay, all right? But you need to be cognizant of the fact that if it doesn't continue to move down and closes back up in the band because the trend is up, you're going to dump that short and go long, and then your stop is going to be right here. So again, from a risk reward scenario, this is a good combination. In order for it to work, though, you have to do what's required of you at the time. You can't hesitate. You can't wish the market to do something different once you get in a trade. What I mean by that is if you've gone short here, you can't hope that something's going to happen. You have to be able to manage this trade quickly and reverse on it. Okay, so then we moved up through the algo band. All right, we moved up through it. Again, you could have the same scenario as we came down. Because this was an extreme, you can go short here. All right, you can go short. Your next band level was down here, so if we didn't get down to the mid band to cover, notice you would have gone here, but we did have an algo band, a new one here. So you get out of the short, you get in the long because your stop meets the risk requirement. All right, and so you're back in it. As we move further up, again, this was an extreme. You could have gone both sides. And on the breakout to the upside, that was a long trade. I didn't talk much about the breakouts, but again, on an extreme, you trade both sides. If you're going to go long, your stop and reverse is going to be under here. Once you've moved off like this, you can tighten your stops up a little bit if you like. Okay, but again, breakout to the upside. Breakout to the upside. This is not an extreme band here, so it's a long entry, long entry. All right, this is not an extreme band here, so it's a long entry. This is an extreme band up here. So you did have a long entry, but it's still an extreme band as we're moving higher. And if you're a counter trend trader, the counter trend would be under here, or the reverse would be under here if you want to take that trade. But again, you're seeing the setups here. It's very conservative from the standpoint of risk. You're not going to get every trade, but you're going to get most of the trades, and you're going to get most of the runs on this. The key is you've got to stay disciplined on your approach. You can't bend your rules. You've got to follow them, and you have to act when it needs to be acted on. Okay. So I'm going to hold back for a minute to see if there's any questions on this approach, and I'll wait. And again, I want to reiterate, this is just one method that you can use here at High Percent Trading for trading. Everybody doesn't have to do this. If you're not comfortable with this, or if you don't like it, then by all means don't use it. Stay with what you've been doing. All right, stay with the accelerator, stay with the breaks, stay with the double profit and the algo bands, stay with the deep retraces. Whatever works for you, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay. Part of what I like to do is, I don't like to beat a dead horse every day and just, keep showing the same thing over and over and over again, because part of what I want to do is be able to expose everybody to trading methodologies that are available here in the software that some people may not be aware of. Okay, and so as we move forward and as things evolve, we always strive to make them better. We always strive to make things easier. All right, and you can see, I mean, today's been a nice runaway market for the most part. We've had retraces. I think I indicated that Tuesdays are the number one retrace, best retrace trade days that there are during the week. But the nice thing about the algorithm bands trading this way is it works in big trending markets like this, and it works in choppy markets if you stay with the trend. Because if you stay with the trend with the algo bands and you limit your risk, like we're showing, yes, you may get a couple of trades where the market goes sideways that don't work out for you, but you're not going to sit there and get ground up. Okay, you have to work at it though. So I'm not seeing any questions. I'm going to go then and look at the YM. I can always come back here if we want, but some of you trade the YM contract, so I wanted to show it as well. Okay. All right, so here's the YM contract. It's the same chart basically that I've showed before. I'm using the dynamic trend and the algo bands although because this is the YM, all right, a nice manual level is 20 on the YM. Again, 15 minutes during the first, in this case, half hour of the pit open, but in the event of a major news event like we had today, extending that another 15 minutes, so 45 minutes. Here's our pit open right here, right? Pit open was here. We had an algo band formed right off the pit open, all right? And there's two types of entries. Number one is you're dropping down, other than the fact that this was a phantom trade up here. If you didn't take it, we had an algo band here. We're dropping down into it, okay? The aggressive entry is going to be short on a close, and then you're out on a reversal. You're not going long on a reversal, but you're out on the reversal because the trend is down. The conservative trade, when there's nothing to push off from, okay? Remember, we came from way up here down into a new band. So this is kind of like a running trade. This is the aggressive short trade, aggressive, and then your stop would be out here on a closed basis. If you didn't take the aggressive, then the conservative is here, and your initial stop would have to be on the other side. Okay. Now notice, as we moved up into the algo band again, our trend is down, reversal bar, enter. You can go stop here, or if you're more nimble, a stop right here, but you may have to work with that a little bit more if it gets taken out and back in. All right, but that was your first trade setup. Other than this one, this is your second trade setup. Short, didn't make new session lows, but made new lows on the contract, okay? Then notice, we're continuing to move. We did have our report, all right? We came up into the algo band, all right? And our trend was up. So we got a trend change in here. And again, it's the same principle. The aggressive trade is going to be when we close in here. The conservative trade is when we close above. In either case, on the conservative trade, your stop has to be down here. On the aggressive trade, your stop has to be under here. Okay, very small risk to reward. Okay, now let's look at what happened later. We went up and made new session highs. We had another algo band here. We dropped down into it. Again, looking to see is our stop has to be up under here, so we don't want this any greater than where we went. All right, that was your trade entry here. Okay, this could have been another entry here and another entry here. All right, now notice this one's too deep. We came down too deep, so the risk is too big on a close here. The risk is too big. This is a trade if you wanted to take it, because then you could place your stop under here. This one didn't work out. We came back down again. The risk is too big. So it's keeping us out of this chop, right? Risk was too big. And then that brings us over to here at 7:15. Okay, so I need to redo the chart at 7:15 because remember, I was just running this. I would run this on the fly, but now I need to go back to 30 minutes again. So I'm going to reload it. I don't know if that's going to change things or not, but we'll take a look. And again, is this not making any sense to anybody? I'm not seeing any questions, so it looks like everybody's kind of taking this in. All right, so if we look to what happened here, all right, we moved up into the band. We have a short entry here that got stopped out. You theoretically could have had a second entry here that got stopped out. So here's an area where you got beat twice. Okay. And then we did not get long up in here because the trend didn't change till later. And then as we moved further on, right, we did have a return to the algo band here for a long entry. and then a second one here for a long entry. This third one would have been no trade because it's too deep. All right, then we had another subsequent algo band here, long and or long here. Okay, this is the special circumstance up here. All right, this is your special one. It's special because it occurred at the high of your dynamic trend and also a session high. So if you're a counter trend trader, if you want to take that trade, it's short, but the same principle, out of the short, reversing to long, okay? Re-entry long. So you must be able to act on that, all right? As we came down through the band, notice we're okay. We're okay on our stop. We're 6 ticks or less. Long, long, long again, long to get beat a little bit, and then long again. All right, so you're just handling the chop. You're approaching it from the long side. You're able to take some scalps. You're able to hang in. One of these may have taken you out, but then you got to get right back in. And again, we're moving higher. And so we just continue to go. I think you can see the rest of the setups here. Long, long, long setup here. Breakout to the upside. This would be both sides again. If you wanted to trade both sides, you may have gotten caught short right here if you took that, but then as I mentioned, you get out and reverse and you're back on the trade, and that's where we're at right now. So, and now we have an algo band forming as we speak. So let's watch this one. All right, let's watch this one. What we're looking at is right now, if we get a reversal bar up, that will be an entry. As long as we don't trade below here, that'll be an entry. Will it work? I don't know. The algo settings, Patty, for which one? For which markets? I did ES and I did YM. I think you're both of them. Okay. All right. Okay, I can come back and we can see this trade setup. You know what you're looking for here. What you're looking for is the reversal bar. If it reverses here, you're going to have a real tight stop under here. But on the YM, what I have found that works well with this approach is a manual setting of 20. I like to set my bad minutes at 15 for the first 30 minutes of the pit open and go in an additional 15 minutes longer like we did today because we had a major report at 7 a.m., right? And then I like to extend the band minutes to 30 because I want to slow things down, okay? So that's YM. Now ES is a different creature, and ES, right, at the beginning, from a manual standpoint, I like to use 50. I like to use a value of 50. And again, same principle. In the first 30 minutes of the pit open, I like my band minutes at 15. Okay. If we have a major report like we had today, the ISM, PMI, then extend that another 15 minutes. So go 45. And then at the end of 45 minutes, I change this to 30. Okay. Make sure you apply when you do that, though. If you just change it and don't apply, nothing's going to happen. But you can see on the way up here, it's caught all these trades. It got long here, long here, and here, long here, long in here, and in here, and here, and now we're coming back down to put a potential. This is both sides now. Again, this you can trade both sides of this because this is the special deal. If you do get short, right, and it's not short yet, you need to be quick to reverse. Right? And there was your trade entry on YM that I mentioned. Okay, so now your stop could be right under here. If this stop gets taken out and it doesn't go deeper than this, you can do the re-entry again. Okay, so what I mean is by this, it's a very small risk to reward setup. In other words, a very high reward to risk setup. Very small risk, very high reward. That's what you want in trading. Okay. All right, I am recording this. We'll get this posted up here in about 45 minutes. If there aren't any questions, I'm going to go ahead and end this. Now notice this hit the stop, okay? This did hit the stop, but as long as we close back up in here, prior to going any deeper than here, that would potentially be your reentry. And of course, you got to ask yourself, as Clint Eastwood says, you know, is today your lucky day? How many trades do you want to be taking? Based on these setups, again, you should have been done trading a long time ago. You don't want to keep coming back to the well because sooner or later, you're going to have a trade or two that isn't going to work out. But you get nicely green and you turn off the machine. Okay? All right, so we'll see everybody tomorrow morning. I believe we do have crude oil inventory tomorrow. So if there's no questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, and I'll get this posted for everybody. So thanks for coming, and hope to see everybody tomorrow. Okay, you're all welcome. Bye-bye.